Hello Pioneers, in the last episode of our MEGAFACTORY build series, we built a helical particle accelerator tower to produce dark matter crystals, tackling complex pipework and resource balancing. This episode, we take on a more artistic challenge, constructing a stunning glass factory to house our quantum encoders. These machines emit a beautiful aurora-like light beam, and we want to show it off with transparent walls, rounded glass corners, and an open, airy design. Can we create a factory as beautiful as it's functional? Let's find out. With all these new buildings that we've built, it's easy to forget what we're actually trying to accomplish here. It's pretty funny now that I think back to it. About 10 episodes ago, we looked at our power and we were like, alright, we're consuming a lot of power. We need to boost our capacity by like 100,000 megawatts or something. And we went over there and built ourselves a massive turbo fuel power station and generated extra 100,000 megawatts of power. And then we were like, you know what, those alien power augmenters seem pretty good. If we can just boost them with alien power matrices, we can definitely get more power out of that. And we've been trying to build this stuff ever since like 10-15 episodes ago when we first brought Sam ore into our base. But we are finally getting close. We are finally getting close, guys. With our latest addition, we finally have gotten up to dark matter crystals. And dark matter crystals are a vital subcomponent of these two very difficult components, which is the power shard and the superposition oscillator. Both of these have similar recipe requirements, but we've got everything we need to make this. And the reason we're choosing to make the superposition oscillator first this episode is because it produces the most amount of dark matter residue, which we're going to feed back into this little tower to produce more dark matter crystals that we're going to need for future processes. So with that being said, it is time to make our lovely factory. Is this enough space to do it? I don't know. Let me put in some flooring and find out. We'll do some measurements real quick. Now we're definitely going to go with this helical design for our quantum encoders. The quantum encoders was what I was planning to originally do the helical design on. Now I feel like I need to come up with something else, but we can just helix it slightly differently, I suppose. Let's have a look at what that looks like. So we've got these quantum encoders. In comparison to a particle accelerator, it's longer. It's longer than a particle accelerator. So definitely it's not going to fit here. Fantastic. And we need this building. We can't build into here because we were going to use this building area to build more of these things. So we need to figure out somewhere else to build these things where there's like plenty of space. Well, that kind of sucks. We can always abandon the helical design and do something slightly more straight and stacked. We can just do a standard factory, I guess. And that will allow a bunch of quantum encoders to fit neatly along the back of here. We can in fact get 6 quantum encoders here, 6 quantum encoders here, and 4 quantum encoders probably here to finish off this factory if we just fit the design within these parameters between here and here, which it looks like it perfectly fits into. So we could just reserve the helical design for this and come up with a new design for quantum encoders. It does need to be extensible, I suppose, so we'll have to build something that allows for that extension. Now the quantum encoders are a little bit round and a little bit square, so maybe we can build a building around that sort of style. Now we can probably fit 6 quantum encoders for this build along here, so let me fill in the floor first. Need to get rid of some of this foundation. If you're enjoying the video and you want to support DataEngineerPlays, don't forget to leave a like and hit that subscribe button. And if you have any feedback or suggestions, feel free to share them in the comment section. Now, were we to just build 6 quantum encoders on the floor, we can do something cool. I can do a helical design. I don't think it'll fit, right? Definitely won't fit. Like if we put one down here, even if we use like one tile of edge space, which already is uncomfortable, yeah, there's no way we can get a core in here and then build a helical design. So I think for space saving purposes, we'll just build our quantum encoders in regular-ish buildings and we'll just come up with something fun and interesting for them, I suppose. Not everything has to be a weird helical design. Helical designs seem to be okay for our particle accelerators and we'll leave it at that. So given the quantum encoders are a little bit round and a little bit square, maybe we can embrace some curvature in the building. Now we've done these diagonal curves, but we haven't done any sort of curvy curves, like really curvy curves, like for circles and stuff. So maybe we can start experimenting with some circular design. So were we to build a quantum encoder here, let's see if we even have enough space to build a regular design over here. Start measuring out where we can start our building and stuff. So ideally we want it 2 tiles over here, and we'll start it over here even though it sort of collides with this. Maybe we can offset it a little bit, like 1 tile out this way. It doesn't have to be perfectly aligned to everything. Then, oh yeah, here we go. This gets a little bit close to the road, because were I to build it here, then we'd have half a tile of space on each side to deal with all the inputs. And if we look at all these inputs, a superposition oscillator has 4 inputs. Is this a fun thing to do? Probably not. It's even too long for this. Well, it's a little bit annoying. I mean, 2 of the inputs are a little bit offset inside, so maybe that can help us, and 2 of the inputs are here. We'd have to do all the inputs in the floor. Let me build 2 and see what daisy chaining the inputs actually looks like, because I haven't worked with quantum encoders that much, especially not ones that require multiple stuff. So were we to build something like this, and then have a splitter, say, coming in here, and were we to have a belt over here, now if I want a second input, can I just go a little higher? 1, 2, 1, 2, and then if we put another belt over here, will that just sit on top of this first belt? Does that kind of look okay? And then were we to have a third input, that would go over here. And that can go back onto the ground floor. And then we can do a splitter like this. And then in you go. And then the pipe work can happen underground or out behind it. So the junction, if we were to have, well, we definitely do need pipes, what am I talking about? The junction would go like here, and then out this way, and then along the back like that. Right, so we definitely need at least 1 full tile of space to deal with the inputs. Then the outputs, I mean, there's 2 outputs as well, right? So, oh man, we need space. We just need space. But then we're gonna have this big empty space over here. I've just not set up my factory really well to deal with this sort of stuff. Ah, choices. I mean, if we were to hug this one a little bit closer, we can have 1 tile of space here and then 1 tile of space back here. And that would be kind of perfect. I think that just barely fits if we were to do that. And then it would just be a little bit close to here and look a little bit cramped. But I suppose that's fine, because what else am I going to do with all this space out here? Now, the interesting thing about a quantum encoder's design that we have to keep into account is I remember it does this massive beam up into the sky when it's running. So we definitely want to show that off. So in terms of stacking them on top of each other, I don't know about that. Well, we can't stack them on top of each other. I guess the beam will just come through. That's the other reason why we wanted to go with one of these designs, so that you can see all the beams. Oh man, so many difficult decisions to be made. Gotta think about this one, guys. Gotta think about this one. Here's what I've decided. We're going to go with a very nice thin design using half foundations. That way we can fit them into this space. And if we use a half foundation instead of a full foundation, hopefully that makes our walls a little bit thinner. Then I can have my wall over here, and we can create more space within the factory so it doesn't look so cramped if we change this to, say, a half foundation. Like this. So the wall would go like that. And then the wall over here would do something similar. It'll be 1 tile away from here. But if we did that, it would give a lot more breathing room within the factory and make everything a lot thinner. And I think I just want everything covered with glass. The one big disadvantage of doing a helical design with this versus a particle accelerator, all the quantum encoder processors have so many inputs, so many belts, so many pipes. Imagine getting all of that through the central core of a helix. It would be very, very difficult to do. So we might go with a standard build for these. it will look less messy at the end of the day, I think. So I'm going to delete all of this stuff and then we're going to start our build. So this fits nicely in here. Let's see what 6 looks like. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's basically how long the building will be. There'll be another building with another 6, and then if we need to expand on top, we should be able to do a second level of these somehow. Now, the way these things are, I'm thinking, how can we do like a nice curved corner? Because they're kind of like a circular building. We can do like a curved corner along the road, and then we can do like a flat back, right? So we'll design 2 different types of corners. Let's see in a blueprint designer how we can design a curve. Do I have a spare blueprint designer somewhere? It's like one all the way over there. I haven't played around with full curves before, but we can play around with it together and see what that looks like. Now we can obviously do diagonals, but a full curve would look something like this. We'd put something here. Now I said we were going to do it with half foundation, so I suppose we might as well start with half foundations. So it'd be like that. Make sure the right side is facing the outside, which is the one with no X on it. Remember, half foundations have a different tile in the front and back. I don't know which smart designer decided to do that, but it's a pain in the butt, so you got to work around that. Now it would work something along the lines of, we'd have to curve it. So normally we just do things at a 45-degree angle, but we would just curve it slightly, right? And it would be the same concept. So if I put a slight curve here, then we can see how it turns gently now instead of a very harsh 45-degree turn. And if we keep turning it gently, let's see where that gets us. See how pain it is to build circular buildings? If we just keep turning it at the minimum angle, let's see where that gets us. And then we can go from there. See, these two already backwards. Annoying, right? So we want the X bit to be on the inside, like this. But see how this is like a nice gentle curve rather than a big curve that we normally do. So at some point it's going to realign itself back into a straight. So let's see where that is and how many it takes to do that. We're just going to keep going around in a circle until we get back to a flat thing. I think we're almost there. Yeah, I think this is now flat. So it's in a super awkward position. So we should get the flat somewhere that makes sense. For example, here. And then we should join the circle back somehow. So how many tiles across is this? 1, 2, 3, 4. And how many tiles across is this? 1, 2, 3, 4. So somewhere here would be where it would make a perfect half circle. So that means we need to design it out this way, and then it has to somehow meet. So somewhere here it'll meet up, I think. Let me just check. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. This is backwards. So we'll design it out this way, like this. And then one more out this way. This does not meet anywhere close to this. And if I do this one over here, we're going to get a bit of a janky thing happening over here. Why doesn't this meet perfectly? This should be symmetrical, should it not? Unless I've done something wrong somewhere. I've done exactly the same thing back this way as that way. Let me try it again and see if I can't get them to meet perfectly. Alright, so I've built it exactly out from both sides, and now they meet perfectly in the middle. This tile, however, is not quite in the middle. Now I can build it aligned to that. If I shift it out 1, then it should offset equally on both sides, and then it sticks out a tiny bit, but I think it should be okay as long as we don't use this as any sort of foundational pivot point or anything, which is going to be a little bit easier said than done given that it's the central tile. But let's see if this works out well for us. So if I get rid of all of this, now we have a curve, and let's see what that curved side looks like. It looks pretty cool. I like it. This is how you build circles, I suppose. If you get 4 of these, you'd have a circle. And that's going to be our wall, right? Let's see how windows fit on top of this, because we basically want windows. Now, you can't offset the windows in, so you're going to have to outset the thing over here. So you'd have to build your windows like this. Oh no, it's overlapping the blueprint designer. But that's what windows would look like against the curves. And if you did want an offset, you'd have to build an offset out from each one of these. But that won't work, because then you'd have little gaps in between, right? Like this. Which doesn't look horrible. It'd be like this. Or what does it look like? That really complicates the geometry. What does it look like if I do offset the windows in by 1? If I go in by 1, does it look terrible? Not really. It just doesn't, the windows just no longer align anymore, but it doesn't look terrible. And then I don't have to redesign this thing. This one might look terrible because it's going to be between two windows. Actually, it doesn't look that bad. And it lets me put that window in. This stupid tree's annoying me. And that gets us our curve. Now, how tall do I want my building? Go back and check. Go up. Now, we don't need it that tall, because we just need to clear this stuff. So we'll probably do it here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 tall. So this is already too tall. So we need to make our windows 5 more tall, like this. That's all the windows in, and that looks like a pretty cool rounded thing, which is great. Now, how do we seal off the top? Let me try some stuff. I mean, ideally, you'd want the top to have something, so it'll be like this. We can use the glass as like a snapping point for this stuff. So it's just from the front of the glass, 1 replaces the glass. That should give me my perfect circle. Makes sense, right? To have the windows here. The stupid plant is in the way. And I've been building these the right way, right? Where these stupid foundations are directional. There we go. That looks nice-ish. Still begs the question, how do we seal the top? I mean, we can just come out from here with a half foundation, I guess. And then it'll just come in a little bit, but at some point we need to carve out the top to let the beams of light through. But yes, we can just seal the top like this. There's a little bit of Z fighting, but that's about it. There's definitely going to be Z fighting. At some point we need to flatten it back out. So say we like zoop this. At some point we need to flatten it back out into a normal foundation, something like this. And that gives us like a rounded building sort of thing going on, right? This is the most basic rounded corner I can think of. It looks really cool, and we can definitely put like lights and stuff in there. So if we paint this in black, as we normally do, our default color, then I can get rid of the windows that I built inside the walls. I probably can, somehow. Not this one, though. Some of them let me find the window inside the foundation, others don't. This is probably going to go bite me in the bum at some point. But that's fine. This is a pretty cool curved glass corner, I think. I mean, the top leaves a little bit to be desired, but if this is going to be the roof, we can always do something to finish it. Definitely think we're going to need some LED strips or something. Let's put some LED strips in and see what that looks like on these curves. I think it curves perfectly on it because these are just regular foundations, right? I mean, this one sticks out a bit, but I think we can cover it with the front. Let's light it up and see what that looks like. Definitely getting more comfortable with building sort of on curves and weird stuff like that. Yeah, I think that looks pretty cool. Let's start with that curved corner and put it in and see what that looks like. We'll call this corner, whatever we're trying to build, quantum encoders. Let's give it a glass window icon because that's what most of it is. Check our blueprint in there. Save that, and let's go put it into our building and see, or put it around our quantum encoders and see what that actually looks like. Probably move my blueprint thing over here somewhere so I don't have to go back and forth as much. Okay, here's our corner. Now we wanted to build it 2 in. Oh, that's maximum nudge. Let's not put it on blueprint mode then. So it's going to be 2 in from the road, and it's going to give plenty of room for the quantum encoders. And the edge of this factory we need to put along here somewhere, so it doesn't clip into here. And that looks about right. And that's what the corner looks like near the quantum encoders. What do we think of that? I think that looks pretty cool. Gives a very clean view of the quantum encoders. Now, do we want to continue the corner onto this side as well, so that then it's a semicircle shape? It would go here, and then it would line up, and there'd be a 2-tile gap for a filler wall, I guess. Then it just becomes this oval building. Can we even tell this is a curved corner? Kind of. That looks pretty cool, I think. Now, where do we open it up? Oh, wow. It opens perfectly in the middle. That's pretty cool. So we can do something with that. I'd love to turn one of these on just to see what it looks like with the beam. I wonder if we can just turn one on manually. If I just like connect it here with power and set the recipe to make superposition oscillator. Can we make something easier? No, this thing doesn't make the light stuff. I don't have excited photonic matter. We can make excited photonic matter and just pump it in, I suppose. All of these are backwards as well. Or these two at least. When they're in the right direction, the thing isn't perfectly in the center. I want to pump some stuff in there just to see what the beam looks like, because that beam's going to really determine the design of this, so it's quite important. So let's just connect that temporarily. And let's just put some stuff in there. Not superposition oscillators. Why power shards? Alright, power shards. We need some aluminum sheet and dark matter crystal. Dark matter crystal is right here. I'm just going to steal some. See some aluminum sheet, and then we just need to pump in some photonic matter. Now, walking around my factory really gives me a gauge of how big everything is. It takes so long to get to the aluminum. I think the aluminum sheet is being produced somewhere over here. Yup. No, that's aluminum ingots. Where's my aluminum sheets being produced? I don't even know. Is it this building? This is the sheets and casing building. Fantastic. Steal some sheets. Checking our sheets, and now we just need photonic matter. I've forgotten how to make this. Is it just a converter and nothing? Yeah, it's just a converter with nothing. So we need another converter. We're gonna need converters, by the way. That's the other thing I haven't considered. We need somewhere to build a bunch of converters to make the photonic matter for all of this. It doesn't take anything but energy to make. There's no input, so it might inspire some interesting design where there's only one output pipe and no input. But let's just connect that to power, and then let's just pump that output into here for now. Doesn't need to be pretty. We're just doing it to test what the beam looks like. You can just go through the wall. There we go. And in here is excited photonic matter. And now it's going to start producing stuff, and when it does produce something, we can see how the animation, it goes up and opens, and then it goes whoop, into the air. Yeah, check it out. There's the beam, and we don't want to hide that beam, and you can't hide that beam, because even if I built stuff over here, it will still beam through my building into the air. And this is what we're going to have to build around, basically. A big row in the middle that just has beams coming out of it. But yeah, that's fine. We can use this corner, this corner, this corner, this corner, and then we can just decorate these corners with something for the beams to show that we're intentionally keeping this part open. Like, for example, if we were to close it off here, we probably don't even need a blueprint for this filler wall. We can just put some glass in here. Then it's like, yes, we've closed it off here, but then we've left the roof open for these beams. In fact, then these can just be regular things, right? Yeah, I think that works out nicely. And immediately we have too much dark matter residue, so it's immediately gone offline. And we can figure out some way to open the roof for these things. I think that looks decent. Alright, so we're going to modify our design a little bit for this, and then we're going to just use these corners. I think they look pretty cool for the rest of this, and then we can figure out some sort of filler wall in between the corners. I think that sounds like a fantastic idea. I'm going to put my blueprint designer over here, load up our corner. Now I want to replace the roof a little bit to fix the Z-fighting. So basically this stuff, oh man, if I delete this roof, it's going to just delete everything, isn't it? Let me just delete this. We're going to replace the roof part with regular wall. They're going to be full foundations, basically. That will help a lot with the Z-fighting. And I want it on top of the glass. Ah, it won't let me. Damn it. I mean, the best way to do this would be to build it up from here, each individual one. And then just vertical it up to where I want, and then just delete the rest. Like that. I wish it lets me build on top of the window. Because after I build the window and shift it, it's not going to let me do anything. There's no other cleaner way to build this. Alright, I'm going to build this thing out. I'll be right back. There we go. There's our roof done now with regular foundation. So now if we were to fill this in normally, it would be a lot easier to do. We would just fill in like this, and then we'd fill in the minimum amount of foundation to reduce the Z-fighting. Like that. And I think that's a lot less Z-fighting on top. I hope. There we go. Still a little bit of Z-fighting, but what are you going to do about that? I wish they would all be consistent though. What if we layered it with another foundation? I feel like I want to just do the roofs manually. Maybe we can do something fun with them. Let's just get rid of this, and then we'll just do this. And then we'll save this as the blueprint, and then we'll put in our walls, and then we'll figure out the filler walls, and then we'll go do the roof. I think that's the plan. So we'll save this, and yes, it will overwrite the blueprint. Don't care. Let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this, and then let's put in our new one. I'm going to get rid of this now, and we don't need this anymore. So we'll get the corner in like this. As long as it meets this filler wall part, it should be all good. These should be symmetrical and all good. And that's what our quantum encoder factory is going to be surrounded by. And we'll do the same thing on the other side now. So we'll get a corner in here. It's going to be 2 off this wall. And that's a little bit far. So it's going to be 2 off this wall and about here. And then 1 off this. Give it at least 1 tile, 1.5 tiles of full spacing. Is that how much spacing you have? Yeah, about 1.5 tiles of full spacing. Don't want to build it in here. That's like a little cutting it a little too close. So we'll do it here. I don't think it's perfectly even, but that's fine. Get that in here. Why is this only got half a tile of spacing? That's not quite right. We need 1.5 tiles of spacing here. There we go. 2 tiles in between. Now it should be reasonably easy to fill these tiles. We will... Cool. I'm going to leave it open for now, and then we're just going to work on this wall first. Now we've got so much space to play around with in here, but unfortunately, because of this, we can't do diagonals. There's no 2-meter diagonals we can do. I mean, we could do diagonals and offset it half out here, and then take up a little bit of the interior room over here to get some cool angles going. But I think the diagonals will kind of take away from this thing's shape. So we're stuck with half foundations. So what can we do that's interesting with half foundations along this wall? Let me think about that. Otherwise, it's going to be one really long and flat wall. Maybe it's time to do some combination with pillars again. Big metal pillars. We can do big metal pillars, and then we can do like a section of flat wall. How many tiles across is this? 10. If we make a blueprint for it, yeah, we could probably do a blueprint for this. It might be like a little bit boring though. That's my only concern. But sometimes simpler is better, right? Let's clear the blueprint designer. And let's do the big metal pillars that we were doing before. Do big metal pillars on either side. We have to make it symmetrical so that we can flip it and put it on the other side. And then we can do just regular foundations in here. It's going to be a little bit boring, but it's all right. Make sure they're facing the right way. I believe these are facing the right way. This one is not. Something like that. And then we can do more windows in here. It's a very, very, very boring wall. Spruce it up with a little bit of lighting. How high did I build the lighting on this? From the top? Yep. Maybe we can just keep it simple. Do a light strip across here. And let's see how that works out for us. Wall QE. Give it the same icon and save that blueprint. I'm gonna delete my pillars now. Now we should be able to fit the wall right here. And we should be able to fit another wall right here. And I know there's like 4 pillars in the middle, but I don't mind that because there should be a doorway at some point, which is probably going to be along here somewhere. And we can manually do a doorway, I don't mind. But what do we think of that? It's just this nice little curved building. Nothing complex, just nice and simple. What is going to be complex is when we fill in the ceiling part. Now, in terms of stackability, if we were to add another layer onto this, then the ceiling will just be sealed and the top layer will come out, but then the rest will be okay. Let me just turn these the right way. Let's check our walls in. I think I need to flip these to get the right wall out here. The lights are only on one side of the wall. And there it is. This is our basic building. Let's see what else we can do to it. It's gonna fit this over here. What? Where did I build that? Like that. And then build that out as well. Fit some glass in between. And here's our first foray into roundness. There we go. There is our building. Nice and oval shaped, cool looking building for the quantum encoders. Not as cool as I wanted it to be, but I think it looks pretty awesome. Obviously, we're going to do something with here. This will be our doorway into the factory, but let's work on our roofs first. Now, if we were to just do roofs, like do beams diagonally across here using these, where does that land us? I mean, it'll intercept this middle section. I'm just going to just shove in some beams to see what that looks like. Can do something weird like this. I don't know if I like any of that. Our criteria of trying to keep this middle part open is a little bit difficult. Because we basically want 2 cross beams like this. And then do we want like some cross beams across here, or should we just leave it open? I'm not really sure what to do with the roof of this factory. Is there something cool we can do with these curves and regular roofs? I feel like if we do these 2-meter roofs, they might make an interesting pattern. They look crazy. That just looks insane. And messy. It looks kind of cool. But then how do we tile this across now? We need some sort of flat roof on top of this. Like this. And then more 2-meter roofs to meet it. Oh, that's kind of cool. What do we think of that? We can build this into the blueprint as well if we wanted to. Maybe there's like too many of these. What if we get rid of some of these? Can we do a 2-meter corner here? Wow, that actually meets it perfectly. It looks a little bit crazy along here, but these roofs kind of look cool. I kind of dig this. We'd need some sort of beam over here to make it look like it ends. What do we think of this? Does this look okay? Looks more interesting than cross beams. Yeah, I think we build it out with these, what are they called? Clear glass roofs. And see what that looks like. I'm just thinking at some point, do we want to maybe make a non-clear glass roof section? Like a cross between these 2 quantum encoders? Let me get rid of this stuff. Let's see what that looks like. If we built this out like this, for example, then we just put in our regular 2-meter ramps, or our 4-meter double ramps, I should say. Where's our half foundation? How does that line up with the roofs? That's kind of cool. Then maybe it needs to be a little bit elevated. So if I put in a 2-meter foundation here, like this, and then we put in our 4-meter double ramps like this, how does that look from a geometric perspective? We go across 2, and then back down the other side, and something like that. Then we can put another one of those in between here. Doesn't quite line up perfectly. Yeah, let's do this roof and see what that looks like. So we'll go around doing this. Then we'll bring out the roofs from here. Don't know why it's all offset weirdly, but should be around here. Zoop that across. Get more 2-meter roofs up this way. And they go all the way up. And we get a corner piece here. What do we think of that? Does that look interesting? Let's paint the crossbeam in black. Definitely gives the roof a much more interesting geometry. Do we need a little bit more roof here? And then it's just open in the middle. I kind of like this. What do we think of that? Alright, I'm pretty committed to this design. I'm gonna fill in the other side with this and then we'll call it a day, I guess. I want to leave it nice and open just because these are quantum encoders and they look cool. The machines themselves look cool, so we'll just build it out like this. Alright, here's the factory with the full roof in. I think it looks decent. Looks a little bit wacky here around the corner, but still, this is pretty much how you can seal a rounded corner. But I think the rounded corner looks pretty cool. It gives a building a very, like a little different touch to the rest of these rather than everything being hexagonal and diagonal. Now, we need to carve the entranceway. So let's get rid of all of these. And we'll build ourselves a proper entranceway on both sides. So we'll get our things over here. For the top. Do we need something to seal this section off? Now, entranceways for these 4-meter bits are always annoying to do, but essentially it's going to be something like this. Might need to stick out fully. Maybe put the same thing on this side. Need to rotate it so that the X is facing the right side and find the snapping point. Very annoying to build these things. Build that up. Then we can do regular foundation to seal it off, like that. And that gives a nice defined entranceway. Paint that in. Paint that in. And yeah, that looks good. Now we just need to hide all this Z fighting, and you know how we usually do that with our entranceway billboards. Go find one. That. One here. One here. 3 and 4. Just like that, we've got our entranceway, and because this is flat, we can also put them on the roof. There we go. Beautiful entranceway. Alright, cool. So that's pretty much it. That's our quantum encoder building done. I think it looks pretty sick. It's not gonna be easy to extend upwards. We might do something like pillars or something. Like we'll get these pillars going upwards and then we'll clear this part of the roof, and then that way you can see a little bit of light beam in between them, and we'll just build another one on top with a little bit of elevation, I think is how we would extend this building, and then we'll just pull the lifts up somehow. We'll make it look nice. But for now, I think this looks pretty cool. Do we feel like these things need to extend downwards? Like if I put another 2-meter foundation out, we can get more of these going down like this to just give even more geometry to this thing. Oh man, that looks pretty cool. Can't say no to that. That does look pretty cool, doesn't it? Especially if I face these the right way. Probably can't do this on the other side because, well, you've seen the other side. There's not much room to do something like this. But I think that looks cool for the front. gives it a little bit more geometry and definition. Get that to the ground. And we'll just paint that in black. There we go. That is done. Our nice little quantum encoder factory. Can we do this around the back so that it's like nice and symmetrical? I don't think so, because that way it's going to be like right on top of this building. So yeah, the back is just going to be that. We can probably do like a 2-meter foundation thing, like down here, like this. But does that even add anything to it? Or does it just look crap? It just looks cramped, and then it's just going to, yeah, screw the back. The support beam will just end here from the front. Yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with that. What do we think of that as a building, guys? I like it. I like it a lot. Might need to just add some lights and maybe face these the correct direction. Damn, these half foundations, super annoying to work with. Let's get those lights in. And yeah, I think that looks fantastic. Get the lights in on this side too. Alright, I think I'm pretty happy with this building. Let's get the inputs and outputs sorted next. Unfortunately, the quantum encoder doesn't even fit inside a 6x6 blueprint maker, so we literally have to build all of this stuff manually all the time. So that's going to be fun. Let's set the recipes first and get rid of this long ass cable. So let's copy this one and then we'll start putting our belts in. So this one does need 3 physical inputs and excited photonic matter. So let's start doing that. So it's 2 regular length belts and 1 that goes up 2. Do the same on each one. There's all our lifts in. Get the mergers in, or the splitters I should say. So we'll get all the material coming in from this side. Just like that. Next is the belts. Get the second belt in. And our last belt should tuck neatly underneath over here. Bit hard to build, but looks fine. Not too much clipping. This is our final factory, so we don't want too much random clipping. But I think that looks fine. That's an acceptable amount of clipping for me. Alright, that's all the belts in. Now we need to get the pipe in. How much photonic matter does each one actually use? 125. 500 is 4, and then 1 belt of 200. How much... Wait. How much does photonic matter does one of these converters actually make? 200. Alright, that's super awkward amounts. But we're going to have to split this into 2 belts of 3. And then we'll have to figure it out from there. We still haven't done anything for the actual photonic matter. I suppose that's just going to be built across the road. And behind each QE thing, we're going to need a thing of photonic matter. Because the photonic matter, we need 3 converters for each 3. Not really 3 to 3. Because 3 of these is 125 times 3, which is 375. Which we can probably overclock one of these, but they take so much power, so we'll probably build 2 and then underclock it or something like that. But we need to build the photonic matter thing that supports each one of these things. So we'll figure out where to do that. We'll probably just build it as part of the factory because it has like no inputs, right? We could always just put it out here, but then where would we put the photonic matter for the next process? Each one of these quantum encoder processes always need excited photonic matter. Super annoying. Let's just get the pipes in first and then we'll think about it. Do it last at the end of the episode. So we'll get a pipe thing at the back of each one. Something like this. And the photonic matter can just be a white pipe. Done this slightly wrong. That one goes into there. And there, that's these 3 machines joined up, and then we want to join up these 3 machines. Get rid of this pipe. I feel kind of want to build these photonic things as part of this factory, and I kind of don't as well. Because I imagine the next factory of 6 is going to go along here, and there's going to be another 4 over there somewhere. And then I suppose we'll just build a big photonic matter converter building like this on the other side of the road to support all of the machines, I guess, and then just have lots of pipes coming out of it. Oh, but it's so custom as well. Since we need 375 of the photonic matter and each one of these produces 200, I suppose we can just put one above each thing. So for example, like over here, but obviously we have to like elevate the surface a little bit. So for example, if I put a foundation over here, and then we maybe make a little platform for it. Put a foundation here, and over the doorway, let's set ourselves up a little platform that can house this thing. What would that look like? It'd make this building look very unique and interesting. All of the quantum encoder buildings will have this little feature because they all need photonic matter. But something like this, and then we can sort of build this out like this, and it can even go into there. Now, does that fit onto there? There's no input required, only an output. Now I'm going to center it along here into the doorway, like such. Or maybe the input can go straight through the ceiling. That's probably a better idea. So we'll do the same thing, but we'll flip it the other way. Like that. And we can get this to make excited photonic matter. We can get one of these and we'll clock it to 375. Oops, that's 173. What the hell? 375. Okay, we might need a bit more. 375 is almost double. Sure, that'll use more power, but whatever. Power won't be a problem one day soon. And we can probably even remove this row. And then it just sits on this sort of thing. Like that. And it's just kind of a feature of this whole thing. And then we can bring pipes down. We can even paint this a different color to sort of denote it. And yeah, I think that looks pretty cool. It's kind of like a little extra thing on top of the doorway. And then we can just pipe this down into here somehow, right? We can probably get some helper walls to figure out exactly where that would go. So we built a wall along the output thing down this way. And here. Can figure out where exactly the pipes would come through. It would come down around here, which is perfect. And this one's kind of in the doorway, so we might have to move it across one. Might have to get it to go like from here somewhere. Let's just do this piping first, and then we'll mirror that piping. So we basically want it to come down and along this wall all the way down to the floor. So from here down to the floor level, that's like a straight line, right? I think if we go up the correct height, we should be able to find somewhere where this turns nicely. Well, it turns reasonably. And that should be fine. We can just go through this glass. We can even remove this glass if we wanted to make it look more legit. We don't need this wall. That was just for helping. But we will use this wall as a guide for this one. So we basically want it to come up this way along here. Yep, that looks straight to me. And then we want to bring it up and we'll go outside to do the rest. Up along here somewhere. And then probably go down too, so it has room to do this turn. We'll get rid of this. Get rid of this. And I think that looks pretty good. It's good to see a little bit of machinery and piping and stuff. I don't like to hide it all, otherwise you just have buildings and empty machines, right? Get rid of all of that. Get rid of some of these. That's joining to nothing. And that's pretty much it. This will make excited photonic matter. We'll copy the settings onto this side. And that'll make the 375 required for each of these pipings. And that's one of our inputs done. And now we've got to get the other three inputs in here. There's no power either. I haven't done any sort of thing for the power. Where does the power even come from? Let's have a look. It comes along here. So we can just do the same thing we normally do and do a power bar, or we can do power lines. Doesn't really matter. I like power lines for this sort of stuff. Since there's space in between the machines. Just something different, I guess. And then we'll get one line of power going across all of these points. And that doesn't look too bad, does it? Now we need to get this out of the wall and into over there somewhere. So let's figure out the power connection. Now we have a temporary power connection over here, but we obviously don't want to use that. I'm thinking the power can come through this machine over here. Now all the power here goes along the floor here. So if I pull out the power along the floor this way, that makes a straight line. And then we can pull the power out to the other side. Get it into here somewhere. And then from here we can pretty much pull it into the machines somehow. Can't just get it going across there directly. See what line that sits on? It sits on this line exactly. So if I just pull a power cord this way, then we just go straight into this power cable. That looks not too bad. Now everything is yellow. These photonic matter generators, they also need power. And their power cables are a little bit awkward, but we should be able to bring them down to like here somewhere. And here, it's a little bit obvious on this white, but whatever. Do it along the back actually. A little less obvious rather than at the entranceway of the building. Like here and here, bring that across, and then we'll bring that into here. Bring that down somewhere in line with one of these, and then we'll just bring that across like such. Doesn't look too bad. Now we've got our photonic matter being crafted. Yes, it is using a lot of power, but we will need all of that power to create more power. Hopefully we can get there before we use up our 100,000 megawatts. But that should supply all of the photonic matter required for this process, and we just got to worry about the next inputs. So one of the inputs is just dark matter crystal, which is pretty straightforward. So let's get that input in. We should probably figure out where all of those inputs are going to go on the floor. Let's see if this thing aligns with floor tiles nicely. So if we go here, we should be able to get one input here. Oh, maybe it doesn't. Oh, yep, it clicks in. Nice. Let's try to get another one in. This one doesn't. That's really annoying. So we're going to have to get the floor lined up as close as we can, and then we're just going to maybe make some belts up to line this up properly. Like this. And it can just do a slight little turn because it likes to be annoying like that. And that doesn't look too horrible. It almost looks straight. And now we've got our 3 input materials ready to go. Let's go ahead and pump some of that stuff in through the subfloor. Now, all of these these dark matter crystals, we need to process them somewhere first. I think for the time being, I want them all to just go into here because we need to start saturating this system. Because if I start destroying the dark matter crystals, that's not going to be good for us, right? At the moment, we're producing 270, which in theory should be saturating all of that, but we're only really producing enough for the first 3 because we're using this temporary setup over here, which we've got to replace with a permanent solution. So for now, I'm not going to sink any of it. We're just going to take it straight into the floor, is what I'm trying to say with all of that. But basically, we want it to go somewhere in here, like there. Oh man, that floor looks terrible. We might just get it out, coming out here somewhere. Try to line it up as best we can with this, and we'll just get a lift coming out here, and in theory, that should meet that somehow. Maybe one more across and a little bit further out. Does that line up? Yep, that lines up nicely with that lift. So that's going to go into the subfloor. Then we can now take that dark matter crystal, route it into there, route the dark photonic matter back once we get the other inputs in. Let's head into the subfloor. I've got so many holes, I don't even know what the heck's going on. This must be the dark matter crystals, and we needed to go to one of these. So let's get it going along the floor first. Bring that out, and then we'll get that going into the subfloor once we have it. Which one should we use? I guess we'll just use the closest one. So we'll get that going to the ceiling first. Pull that out. Get these dark matter crystals across. Line that up. Oh, where is that line up? There. And then we'll go back 1, 2. Oh, it's in a weird offset position. What is going on with these? Why doesn't it line up to any bits and bobs? Let me just straighten out that belt first. What is going on with this weird belt? It's doing a really weird thing. I love it when the belts do this weird thing. Let me just straighten out that belt first. And now it's straight again. Okay, it's weird. 1, 2. Get that into the ceiling. And that's one input down. Now we've got to figure out the other two inputs. So one of my inputs is crystal oscillators, which is all the way over in that factory. And my other input is something weird, aluminium sheets, which is probably over there somewhere. So I think given how far it is, aluminium sheets is reasonably close, I think, over here. So we can bring that by belt. So let me do that first, now that I'm doing it. Is there a way to get into the subfloor from here? I don't think the aluminium sheets are being fed anywhere at the moment. Yeah, we've got no usage of them at the moment. So I'm going to first write up what they're being used for. So they're going to be making our super oscillators. And we need 270 of that. So available is 330. Now our aluminium sheets are all manifolded out, are they? Or have I not done that? It looks like I have. I've got all the aluminium sheet coming out into the subfloor. So they're ready to go, but we should probably set up some sort of smart splitter somewhere before we go in the subfloor. Or maybe we'll do it in the subfloor because there's not much room here. So I'm just going to crack open the subfloor somewhere. Oh, wait, there's a subfloor entrance right here. Oh, there will be once I crack it open. Remember, our tunnels are supposed to be our subfloor entrance. If we can do that, and then we can access our subfloor. And here is our aluminum. So let's bring that over. We pretty much need to bring it over there. So let's start building some subfloor. Look, we're slowly filling in all our subfloor. Remember, we also want to try to avoid our roads because that's where ultimately our fuel line is going to go. So we'll bring that down. And then we'll bring a belt out and we'll start heading towards that direction. Just confirm that there is aluminium sheet here. There is. And then we're going to start bringing it over and try to figure out... What was that? We're going to try to bring it over and try to figure out where we need to go. It's not that far. One of my viewers suggested that I should start putting signs on my subfloor, which I think is a fantastic idea because I'm starting to get lost as to what we're trying to do. So we'll bring this belt over this side and then we'll run that against the ceiling. And that's 2 of our materials almost done. Bring that closer and then we'll figure out where to join them up. Almost there. I feel like that's not enough, is it? So we'll just bring one more over and then we'll figure out where to join these up. Just along this line. We'll go 1, 2. Bring that up. And we can see how easy it is to bring belts across our factory. Now, we could bring the superposition oscillator by belt, but we're not going to. We're just going to go bring it by drone or by truck. I like bringing it by truck because, first of all, we only need 30 crystal oscillators to turn them. We're basically turning all of them into the stuff, but we can bring it by truck, I think, over this distance, and we only need 30, so it's not too much of an ask. So let's set up the truck station over here to accept the thing first. We've got plenty of room over here and we might as well utilize some of it. We've got 2 materials in. I just got to do the last one and we're going to do it by truck right here. So we'll go transport and we will get a truck station. Oh, look how small these are in comparison. So it's going to output out there somewhere and input there somewhere. And then we can just build a little mini road in here. So all we need to do is delete some of these. Just get some asphalt going. And then we'll do a little path for our truck. It can go in there and then it can go around and then it can just go straight back out this way. Now we said we use different buffers to do this, right? So if we go to our architecture and we look at the low barrier or something, I think we said we were going to use different barriers to denote the different sections of our factory. So we'll surround this section with barrier. And then it just gives something more interesting to look at than just pure concrete everywhere. And then we should be able to turn this into a little truck stop. Now I made it 1 tile long, which seems silly now, but I think a truck can fit in here. I'm going to use a tractor, not a truck. So maybe we can turn these corners a little bit less tight so that the tractor can do a proper turn. someone did suggest to me, why don't you just make the corners a little bit less tight? Now, the thing is, I can't get a quarter of a thing here. That's the issue with it. But that's fine. We'll do something like that. And then we can just mark it with some arrows or something like that, just to make it look a little bit more interesting. We've got arrow patterns somewhere. Go some straight arrows. Some straight arrows there. Some straight arrows back. And then we've got also a sign that says tractor. The tractor icon. So there you go. Little tractor icon for you. We're going to set this station to unload. And then we can, or we'll just leave it for now. We can go over to our other factory and then set up a analogous truck station to start loading up all of that juicy oscillator. I still really like our oscillator factory. It's really cool. It's probably the most painful to build one. Like, even though I'm using corners and blueprints and stuff, it's still really painful to build, and we're definitely going to have to add to it one day because this many oscillators is not enough. We're about to use up all 30 of our oscillator basically. Do we put a sign somewhere? I've already allocated it all. So we've set it up over here to just continuously delete, right? I don't know why I've done that. Look how many coupons we have now. But we don't need it to delete really. Or we'll leave it, but this is the main output. I think we've already set it up as such. We just need to figure out where's the nearest road. Because we've set it up at the back of a factory. Now if we go out this way, we're going to be hit by a tunnel. So we need to go out this way. Now, I don't want there to be a road right here. Oh, so I think I'm just going to make it a singular tractor route. I don't know if that's a good idea. I don't want it to be like a full-blown road. So it'll be like an alleyway between factories, basically. Here's what I mean. We get some asphalt. We're going to run it along here. And then we're going to do the truck stop somewhere here. So we'll do it if we did a truck station like this way. I don't know if one tile turns are good enough for the truck, but we'll try it out. Yeah, it should be okay. And also we need to do fuel for this thing as well. So we'll probably do the fuel on this side. This seems silly, but here's the parking lot for it basically. And we'll do some road barriers. Let me just test if this even works. Do I have fuel on me? Yes, I do. Let me put down a tractor and we're going to see if our little tractor can even run this turn. Fine. Let's put some fuel in there. Alright, I've fueled this little puppy up. Let's go for a drive. As you all know, I'm a terrible, terrible driver. But hopefully... Is this always how zoomed in driving is? Oh my god, I'm not used to seeing my factory from this angle. But yeah, one tile is like pretty tight, but it's okay enough, I guess. I feel like we should make it all 2 tiles. But then in that case, it's just a road then. It's okay. So it's a road, but it's like for tractors. So yeah, let me just do it 2 tiles. There's no point making everything super tight. If we need more space, we have infinite space. So why make our tractors struggle when they don't need to? So we'll move our truck station like 1 out maybe. We'll just put it over there for now. So I just can't be bothered accessing my menu. So we'll paint this part asphalt. And then there can be a truck station. And then we need this part. And then I think I need more floor over here. So let's add some more floor. And then we'll get asphalt going on this side as well. And we can put the truck station right in the middle. And that way it's got plenty of room to do everything that it needs to do. And we'll even paint this one asphalt. Alright, let's get the road barriers in. So we'll use low barriers and we'll bring that all the way through. Now our little tractor should have plenty of room to maneuver. And the low barriers go all the way up to here and then start out here. And we go across this way. Beautiful. Now we can put a arrow. Now in theory, let's see, it goes this way and we're left-hand drive. So in theory, it's this line that's goes in. And then we can turn it here. I'll just put some arrows on the way out as well. Now that's just a pure out. And this is just a pure in. And we can put our truck icon or our tractor icon over here. And that looks pretty good. Seal up this side. Oh, we don't want to seal up this side yet because we're going to bring the belt over. We might just bring it over the top. So if we start loading up our truck station like this, 1, 2, then it should go into this one. Maybe that's too low. Maybe we want to go up 1. 1, 2. And that should load up in a straight line. Yep, there we go. That'll load up the crystal oscillators. Fantastic. Hopefully at 30 per minute. Now we need to deal with the fuel. So the other one doesn't need fuel, but this one definitely needs fuel. So let's get that fuel hole in. The fuel hole doesn't like this, so we're gonna have to delete this. And then maybe put in either a half foundation or some catwalks. I like my catwalks. So something like that, and then we'll just seal off this. Got to sort out OH&S, make sure everything's all gravy. And then we should be able to maybe paint all this in grip foundation, make it nice and uniform looking. There we go. And nice. We can put a road barrier along here. Make a little box. Oh, it doesn't like that. So we can just give it a little bit of a wider berth and then just go across here. Might be missing a little bit of road barrier, but it should be fine in the long run. There we go. Nice. And that's looking all good for the truck station. I think that looks like a pretty cool truck station. Now, the fun part is I've picked the perfect spot for this because it intersects exactly with this fuel belt. Perfect. Perfect. Get some subfloor in here first, and then we'll figure out the fuel belt. Now, I want my fuel belt to largely follow the main roads. So, like, for example, this is the main road, right? And that's the tunnel. So my fuel belt should, in theory, be over there somewhere. I'm going to go all the way over and bring it. This is the last time we use fuel. So our fuel belt is a little bit annoying to build. I'll build one section and then I'll just cut to when it's done. But basically we bring the fuel straight, figure out where the longest point is, which is here. And then we build up 1, 2. Because the fuel belt is going to run throughout the entire factory, right? Because we're going to use trucks and stuff to transport everything. So we want it to be at its own unique height, so that way it can just go everywhere without intersecting anything, and I can just turn it without having to go up and down and left and right. So yeah, I'm just going to keep building this. I mean, once we get to here, I'll probably just loop it around the side of this tunnel. But when we get to where we need to go to, I'll come and talk about it. All right, we have arrived. We've belted it all the way from over there, following this main asphalt road all the way around here. And now we are pretty much aligned with our hole over here. So we need to build it over this way. I'm just going to pull a thing down so I can see where I'm trying to get to. And luckily for me, it's right in the center, which is good. So I need to pull something out here. Get a splitter. Ah, it's not letting me line up the splitter. Damn. That's fine. Do a rough lineup. Close enough is good enough. And then we should be able to get it straight over to this belt over here somewhere. Getting there, getting there. Now if we just get this at the right height, which is it this height? I'm just gonna have to test the height. Oh yes, first go. Nice. Alright, we've got fuel in our truck station. Our truck station needs power. So we can power it from wherever this thing's getting powered from. We can bring it out to the wall first, I guess, and then power it. Like that. And now our truck station has power. We should just have to record the route to the other side. Now I'm going to go fix the other truck station as well, because we set it up as one path and maybe we can do it as double lane. You don't need to see me do that, so I'll cut to when it's done. All right, we're here. We've done. Okay, I think I've basically just fixed this. Exactly how we did it before, 2 lanes, that way the tractor just has an easier time turning. I'm going to go over there because I think I didn't delete the tractor, and we're going to go start recording that route. Alright, here's our little tractor, everything is good. Let me just check, why is none of this transferring? Because I've got it going out the wrong hole. Awesome. So the left output is any, and that should get most of it in there. I'm just going to get a bunch to get it started, just so we can get the whole process kicked off. But yeah, the fun part, recording a path. All right, let me get this straight first, and then we'll start recording that path. Wish me luck, and let's go. Can't I get a better angle? Alright, free camera is so much worse. So we need to stop here at the truck station, and then it's loading. Is that even loading? I don't feel like it's loading. Let's just stop recording and then delete the path and then just start again. That was a terrible attempt. Let's just start recording again. And let's just try again. Changing the camera midway sort of threw me a little bit. So we want to stay here, and then we want to load our stuff. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I assume that's loaded, and then off we go. Why is this the end of our path? Oh, that was terrible. Hopefully that doesn't go into the loop. And we want to go this way, and hopefully we don't run into our truck. I don't know where our truck is, but let's just try not to run into it. Underneath the tunnel we go. Driving through the city is nice and fun. Look at our city. It looks pretty from ground view. Don't want to spend too long observing it, otherwise I'm going to forget where I'm trying to get to. It's not here, is it? It's the next turn, isn't it? I think. I hope. Don't know where I'm going, guys. I'm lost. Need GPS. Alright, we're here. We're going to try to make this turn. Almost didn't make it. Alright, we're going to go under the next tunnel now, and then we're almost there. Love recording tractor paths, but hey, they're a lot easier than trucks. Alright, we're going to have to turn into here now and unload our cargo. F to unload. Now it's unloading. Fantastic. And then off you go. We just got to make it all the way back and close that loop, and we're done. Underneath the tunnel we go. Hang a left on Particle Accelerator Street. That was the worst left ever, but good enough. Luckily there's not many tractors to run into here, so it compensates for my terrible driving. Drive past our factory. I really feel like I'm in the middle of a city now driving through here. Everything looks really massive and awesome. Because we're always flying around from above, we don't really appreciate the scale we've built everything at. Everything is so massive. We are so tiny compared to our little mega factory. Alright, we are almost here. Now we just need to hang a right here. And then we just need to cross the finish line. And that loop is complete. So we can now save that, and we can call that Crystal Oscillator. Crystal Oscillator? Yeah. Save that. It's been saved and set as the vehicle's current path. So if we just go over here... Oh, can't move around. Let's set some of these delays to reasonable numbers. 9 seconds is way too much. Let's change it to 5. And then we should be able to just set this guy onto autopilot. And then it should just go. Oh, it feels weird walking around now. What are you doing, buddy? It'll figure itself out. Let's go back over to our other side of the factory and start hooking up that final input. And that should give us everything we need to start making our first superposition oscillators. This building does look pretty cool. I like it. I think it's going to look better once it's all lit up. So let's quickly set the output for this thing and get it into the building. Now we could just get it in through this window, or we can just do it underground or whatever. Now surely a truck thing lines up to this. No? Really? It's not clicking. It doesn't click, but it lines up perfectly. It's so weird. Who designed this terrible game? So we just get a little path going into a thing. It looks so much worse when there's like a little path going in, but whatever. Basically, we just need it right here. So we'll get it going this way, and then boop, tiny little thing, crystal oscillators go in. Fantastic. How many did we drop? Oh, look, our tractor's already here. Did it drop off a bunch of crystal oscillators? Let's have a look. Feel like it didn't. Didn't grab any. Okay. Please come back with crystal oscillators. Anyway, there should be plenty enough for these guys to get going, and they are going because we can now see The lovely beams of light in the sky. Check it out. It's coming out through the top of our factory, and we left the holes in just for these light beams, and they're going. All right, we haven't finished yet, so let's not admire for too long. But okay, let's just admire for a little bit all our hard work. Now they're all going to stop because we haven't dealt with the output. Okay, we'll deal with the output. Let's put some output lifts first. It didn't last very long, did it? Didn't get to enjoy our work very long. Ready for the actual output, which I don't really care about right now. But with the part that I do care about is I want to make, I'm not going to have these continuously making either. Put the mergers in to get the output out. And I think our output's going this way. I think, because eventually we want it to go to make power matrices. So we'll set our output going this way. The output that I do care about is the photon stuff. This crap. So if I split it 3-3, we can get 375 and 375. That's not quite what I want. We're going to have to split this thing out somehow according to this thing. So this thing's taking 150, and there's 3 of them. So that needs 450. Oh man, this is going to be so hard to split. So how do I get 450 out of here? Well, 3 of them supplies 500. It kind of oversupplies, but we can't have it oversupplying. Ugh, it's very disgusting. All right, we're going to have to tune some of these down, I think, or tune some of these up. What about this second level of piping? I'm just trying to figure out how many I've done. These ones need 200 each. So if I can get a 600 belt out, then that will be good, but I can't. How do I get a full 600 out of here? I can't. The most I can get is 575. But we want to chew up all of that dark matter residue. Oh man, this is so complicated. Why? Why didn't they make these 1-to-1? 125 times 4 is 500. So we've got to get the consumption of one of these to 500. And then we'll have 2, which is 250. Which can be added onto something else for the next ones, I guess. So this one over here, after the 3 time crystal ones, the one that uses time crystals, we can get the rest of them going into here. So that's the 1, 2, 3. This is the 4th one, and this one expects 600. So if we get 4 of these dudes into that pipe, then we should be able to... We're going to have to remix and match these pipes one day. So I wouldn't worry about it too much right now. At some point, we're going to have to mix them all up properly. But for now, I think if we just clock some of these down, one of them to 50%. So we've got 1... No, not that one. This first one can be 100%. Second one can be 100%. And then the third one can be clocked to 50%, which means we need to overclock the other one a little bit to compensate for that. But we'll worry about that later. But we can just use these 2 pipes now. So 1, 2, 3. Then this one goes into the wall and down. So this is the pipe that we need to put the 4 into. Okay. Complex little buggers, aren't they? And trust me, we're not done because we've got to deal with the output from the other stuff as well. So let's get the piping for this. So we'll get junctions on all of them first, and we'll deal with the rest. Get the pipes in. Get these pipes in. Get these pipes in. Get them going across. Now I've connected everything, but we need to destroy some of them. Alright, where do we get them into the floor? I guess we'll just get it in the floor here and here. So we'll put a floor hole here. And then we'll put a floor hole here, and then we'll hook all that up. Now we can't get lazy with this piping so that our belts don't cross it, so we're going to have to do the most annoying piping in the world, but that's fine. Fortunately for us, as long as piping is on the... Well, this piping is all using up the 2nd level. Let's see if there's a clear path on this level. It is just here, right? So just these 2 to this one, I believe. Is it the one right next to the dark matter crystal output? Gotta make sure we get it to the right pipe to the right pipe. So yeah, the one next to the dark matter crystal output, and then the one next to it as well. So basically those 2 to those 2. So this is the short one that goes to the back one, and then this one goes to the front one. So I'm gonna bring down this pipe first. And it is a clear path on this level, so we're just gonna keep using this level. Get a pipeline support in first. That's lined up that way, and surprisingly that's lined up that way. So in theory, if I just put one here, That should go in there nice and cleanly. We'll do the same thing over here, but we'll offset it a little bit. Where is it? It's all the way back here. Oh man, there's not even subfloor here. Let's get some more subfloor in. Let's get it to ground first. Line that up against there. Line that up against there. Go out 2. And then that's your perfect pipe. Let's get that to ground first. And then let's bring that over first. It's right on this center line. So chuck a thing here. Bring that out. Now we need to turn it. So to turn it, you just go out 1, 2, 3, 4, and then turn it to where you want it, which is probably, we'll give it a little bit more room. So we'll just go over here, and that should be a perfect turn. Bring it in line with this so we can build all this together and nice and easily. And then we start bringing it over to this side, like here. Bring the pipes. Now this front one needs to go to this back one. So let's start bringing these down as well. Line that up. Line it up this way. Go forward 2. There's the first one. And here's the second one. Line that up this way. Line it up this way. Bring it forward 2. This is the back pipe. So we should just be able to bring it along here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then connect that. And then that should go into there. This is all gases. No pumping required. This can go out this way. So we're pretty much there. Need to put it on the center line. 1, 2, 3, 4. That should be perfect. Get that turned. Get that turned into there. Nice and straight pipes. And I hope I've done the right one on the right ones, if that makes any sense. But hopefully that will get rid of all the gases, and after a while these will start booting up. Now we do need to start disposing of some of the excess. I'm not even going to bother doing that. These can back up. We don't need them right now. We know they do work once the pipes are flushed, and as we can see, superposition oscillators are coming out of here. God, I've never looked at these superposition oscillators, but they're actually superposition oscillating. Look at them, they're oscillating. They're doing quantum magics. But yeah, that's pretty much it. We just need to do some admin stuff. So let's color this thing in the right color, denoting this fluid. I believe we created a new swash. It's swash 9, this weird, disgusting purple color. All part of the process, guys. I don't like it either. If someone can give me a better palette on that, leave it in the comments and I'll repaint everything. No, don't do that. I'm just inviting people to come troll me. You're just gonna give me a slightly different color palette and I have to repaint 300 pipes. Alright, that's fine. This photonic matter can just be white, because I guess photonic matter is white. This thing doesn't look straight to me, but it's good enough. I think this looks pretty sweet. I like this design and everything is functional. Is there anything else we're missing? Little signage. Oh, here comes this guy. Let's see if he drops off some stuff for us. It's already backed up right now. If he doesn't drop anything off, I'm going to be mad. He didn't drop anything off. What is he doing? Alright, I'm going to go check over the other side to see what's going on. He's making it back and forth. He's just not dropping anything off. Don't worry, I'm sure it's my fault. I just like looking at this factory. It looks really cool. It's got power. It's got stuff. Load. Did I move the truck station, not set it to unload over there? Where's my little truck? It's coming. Just wait for it. Our factory is starting to look alive now with all the trains coming through and the little trucks going. We've got to get more trucks going. We need to start building all our nuclear reactor stuff, and then that'll require a lot of transport of materials all over our base, and then we're going to get a whole bunch of trucks going. Go on, you can do a little truck. My terrible driving path. Probably confused as hell. It says, yeah, it loaded. So it is loading. I'm just... yeah, there's stuff in it. 88. Okay. While I'm here, I'm just going to hide these path nodes. It'll get back on route. Alright, let's just go ahead. I'm going to assume it's working, and then we're just going to go ahead and put the signage up. This lack of a... wait, what happened to this rail sign? Oh, there's no rail there. I was like, why is there a missing rail thing over here? That's scary. Yet all my rails work perfectly fine. Yeah, I think it's working. There was like 80 something before, right? It's set to unload. Everything is operational. I believe it is fine. So we're going to leave that there. We're going to put up our sign, and then we're not going to worry about it too much more. Now I've set a sign over here, so let's just copy the setting and let's bring it over to the front of our factory. We made our first complex material, guys. What an achievement. So we're gonna set this to superposition oscillator. Nice, it's got a nice high def graphic. A little bit struggling to get over here, but fine. Yeah, I think it's loading more in there. I think it was 118 before. It's just doing like 30 per trip, but it should be more than enough. I'm gonna jump over here and then we're gonna put in our values. Now we're only making 30 of these. Available is 0. And they're all being used to make alien power matrix. But obviously we're not doing that yet. But they will be. And check it out. Our building is nice and lit up and beautiful. Alright. I think we'll leave it here this episode. If you don't want to miss out on what we're doing next, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And I will see you all in the next video. Thanks for watching.